although we're all separate hospitals and different healthcare organisations across the country, we are one NHS, and we're here. Our sole mission is to help get the whole of the NHS to net zero by 2040.
I'm Victoria Emerton, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Steven Heape, Chair of the IHEEM Sustainability Advisory Panel and Programme Manager at the Carbon and Energy Fund. Steven, thanks very much for joining me today and welcome to this podcast.
Good morning, Victoria. It's nice to see you again and pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So you're going to be incredibly busy at Healthcare Estates in October. The Carbon and Energy Fund are running 4 workshops in total, and I think you're involved in 3 of them, as well as giving a presentation in the conference under the auspices of the Sustainability Advisory Panel. So lots and lots going on for you, which is very exciting. And of course, the Carbon and Energy Fund have put together the content for the programme for the Energy and Sustainability Exhibition Theatre. So we're going to be looking ahead at the event, what the Carbon Energy Fund have planned, as well as some of the key challenges for the NHS in terms of decarbonisation. So first of all, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, well, I'm Steven Heape, as you quite rightly said, and I've worked with the Carbon and Energy Fund for about 12 years. And over that time, I've been involved in a little bit of everything that the Carbon and Energy Fund does. But my main role now is supporting project development. So I'm the person that you'll meet if you're interested in doing a project with the Carbon and Energy Fund. And I'll come along and we'll look at your strategy and we'll look at what you spend on energy and the where you've got to with projects so far and help you come up with what you need to do to get you to net zero.
Fantastic. So for those that don't know, what is the Carbon and Energy Fund and what does it do?
Okay, well, perhaps the interesting place to start, Victoria, is what did we do before the Carbon and Energy Fund came along? And in the old days, if a hospital wanted to do an energy project or a decarbonisation project, they first have to find a consultant to design that scheme. And they wouldn't have any money. So, those kind of pieces of work cost sort of upwards of £50,000. And most estates teams don't have that kind of money just sloshing around. But in the event that they managed to find that money, they'd get the consultant to design it. And the consultant wouldn't have any skin in the game, so they probably oversize it a bit to be on the safe side. And then they go to their friends in procurement and say, well, we've got this design and we'd like to buy this. So they go out, procurement will go out to the market and they find somebody to build it. That person would value engineer it and then build it really, really quickly, maybe cut a few corners along the way, and then hand the keys to the trust. And the trust would then go, hang on, this amazing CHP-led energy project was supposed to save me £1 million a year, but it's costing me about £250,000 a year more. What on earth's gone wrong? And if you take a step back and you look at all of how that's all come together, you can see why it goes wrong, because nobody's got any interest in it, and the NHS are left holding the baby. So when the Carbon and Energy Fund was founded by Clive Nattrass, Clive used to be a director of estates in the NHS, and he said, well, this is bonkers. Why these very clever ESCO companies, they're the experts, so why don't they design it in the first place? And they can build it, but then this is the important bit, they should then operate it and guarantee the performance for the life of the equipment. And if they get it wrong, then they can pay the NHS back the shortfall. But if they get it right and even better, then we can all share in the upside. And that's what the Carbon and Energy Fund does. We can procure energy performance contracts for the NHS and the wider public sector.
And you've been active, how long is it? About 12 years, I think now. So lots of projects under your belt already, I'm sure.
Yes, we're the biggest procurer of these type of projects in the NHS. And we've done somewhere in the region of about 800 million of capital projects over the last 12 or so years.
Fantastic. So what are the key challenges to NHS bodies trying to decarbonise their estate?
Oh, lots of challenges. In most recent times, we've had this wonderful public sector decarbonisation scheme run by Salix, which has funded several billion of capital money. But that at the moment is under review, so that's kind of on hold until further notice. Hopefully we'll hear some more from Salix soon, maybe even by the time this podcast is released. But even when that money is around, there's a challenge for trusts with revenue, because even if somebody gives you £20 million to build the infrastructure to get you to net zero, if it's actually costing you an extra £300,000 or £400,000 a year to run it, there aren't many finance directors in the NHS that can support that kind of cost pressure. So we then have to kind of create projects which are composite, which involve a variety of different things that help us get to net zero, but whilst being either cost neutral or, you know, financially revenue positive over the life of the scheme. And that's quite a big challenge. And, you know, hopefully, you know, we might see some revenue support come along in time, or we might see changes to how energy is billed from utility providers, which again could change the dynamic for us. But it's very much a watch and see. But even while we watch and see, there's no reason not to carry on a project, because we have ways of making those projects work financially and from a carbon point of view as well.
That sounds like good news. So what can the Carbon and Energy Fund do to help?
Well, we can procure projects for you. We can bring in third-party money. We can provide the technical resource. And as I said just a minute ago, we do more of these projects than anyone else in the NHS. So we've got such a wealth of experience from different sites and different projects that we can bring to bear on your project at your hospital, because we will have seen the challenges that you have in other sites. So, and we can bring all of that knowledge together. So it's quite powerful. And that's what we're trying to do at the Energy Theatre, is tease some of those, you know, more interesting points from that wealth of knowledge and share them at healthcare estates.
Absolutely. Peer-to-peer learning is crucial, isn't it? Who wouldn't want to hear from colleagues in a similar environment, working environment, and find out what's worked for them and what hasn't? So Carbon and Energy Fund have a stand at the event. That's stand A15. And I know one of your workshops is almost like a clinic where anyone can come along and pick the brains of your colleagues in terms of what's going on at their site and maybe what they could do. So the message is Carbon and Energy Fund are going to be there in all sorts of guises. Come along and talk to you and your colleagues about how you can help them.
Yeah, very much so. You know, as the NHS, we've got a target to be net zero by 2040. And, you know, although we're all separate hospitals and different healthcare organisations across the country, we are one NHS, and we're here. Our sole mission is to help get the whole of the NHS to net zero by 2040. It's a huge task, and the more that we can share and the more conversations we have, the faster we can get there.
Absolutely, collective effort. So it's been really interesting talking to you today, Stephen. Thank you very much for your time. A reminder to everyone watching that Healthcare Estates takes place on the 21st and 22nd of October at Manchester Central. The programme is live, and registration is also live on the website healthcare-estates.com. So head over there to see the enormous conference and theatre programme that we have on offer to delegates and visitors this year. So thanks again, Steve, for your time today. And we look forward to seeing you in Manchester in October, and everyone watching this podcast on the next edition.
Thank you, Victoria. It's been a pleasure.